All right, guys. Our next guest is an MMA legend, a UFC Hall of Famer. He's the UFC 8 and the UFC Ultimate Tournament winner, as well as the UFC 10 runner-up. He's also the owner of the most badass mustache in MMA. He now joins us back here on Submission Radio. The man himself, Don Frye. Welcome back to the program. It's an honor to have you.
You're damn right it is, boys. What are you doing out there chasing crocodiles or what?
Yeah. When we're not speaking to you, Don, we're just chasing, crocodiles, koalas, anything that moves, really. Just not our girlfriends. Now, Don,
I heard koalas taste like chicken, right?
Yeah. I don't know, chicken and eucalyptus.
I think everything tastes like chicken.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, Don, we've always loved you because obviously, you're a character and there's nobody else like you. And a good example that I feel like we should bring up was this week when we contacted you about coming on the show. Do you mind if we read out some of the hilarious conversation that we had?
Sure, go ahead. Don't copyright it, so you'll have to send me a check later on.
You'll get the royalties, I promise. But I think it's good because sometimes people are like, oh, Don Frye, surely he's not really like that. I think this is the proof, right? And Dennis was the one that contacted you asking, Don, are you available for a quick interview tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. LA time? Your response, sure, you fucker. So clearly you knew who it was from the beginning. And then Dennis made the mistake of asking you, actually, could we move it to 5 p.m. 30 minutes earlier? And your response was, no, you Australian cunt. You changed it too many times already. Are these the standard Don Frye replies that everybody gets, or are we the only ones lucky enough?
Well, I'm trying to be more politically correct in my advanced stage, so I'm softening. I'm trying to get a position with President Trump as the ambassador to Australia, so I'm trying to clean up my language a little bit.
Well, the reason why that works very well, Don, is I'm not sure if you're aware that the word cunt is actually a term of endearment used amongst friends here in Australia. Did you know about this before sending the text?
No. I know it meant different in England and in Ireland, but I didn't know it meant I love you in Australia. That figures.
Does that mean you consider us friends, Don? Is that why you used it?
Fuck no. Fuck.
I'll tell you what though. If we send these messages to President Trump, just one text, one screenshot, and you're in his cabinet, guaranteed. He'll love it. He'll love it with language like that.
All right. That's what I need. I need a job right now. Because I got a lot of bills to pay from this divorce, so a job would be great right about now.
So talk to us a little bit about how everything's going in general. Last time that we spoke to you, were recovering from a serious health scare. How are you feeling right now? How's the recovery going?
Good. It's been almost a year now, so I'm back to leaving tall buildings in a single bound and outrunning a bullet and, pushing the locomotive around. So, getting right there, partner.
How's the back? Because, when you had that health scare, the broken rod, that was the main culprit. How's the back now? Is that 100% and there's no pain anymore?
Yeah. Back feels great. I just need a new shoulder. I woke up from the coma and my right shoulder hurt like hell. And I figured it's because they had me hogtied when I was in a coma. So, I must have jerked around and twisted it. But they took a x-ray. It's been bothering me since before the Takayama fight, the shoulder and the back. And so they took an x-ray and, there's nothing inside there but, just shadows, empty space and memories,
and mustaches.
That's right. It's like where my heart used to be.
The other big thing that came out of our interview last time that we spoke is you mentioned that you had quit drinking. So I'm just wondering, is that still the case, Don?
Yeah. The 21st here in a day or two. It'll be 1 year.
Wow.
Congratulations. How do you celebrate something like that?
I think we'll go out and have a couple of drinks. You celebrate. How else do you celebrate something like that?
I was going to say the other interesting thing I was going to mention when we spoke to Don last time is you mentioned to us that you were going back to school to become a teacher. Have you begun teaching yet, and how's it going?
No, that got sidelined with this divorce thing, so now I've been on a holding pattern for, year and a half, 2 years now, since all this nonsense started.
So sorry to hear. Do you think you will go into teaching afterwards? Is that sort of the plan to sort of do that when this settles down?
Well, that depends on if the harassment charges from my ex-wife's boyfriend up in Oral Valley. She's banging a couple of cops up there. So, they're trying to get these fictitious charges on me so they can press her, see who can get the most charges against me and then press her. I'm like, you're already in late by her. God dang. All you got to do is throw her 20, and it's right there. So, leave me the hell out of your bullshit.
Wow. It's crazy times. Don, you mentioned how your shoulder was sore when you woke up from that coma and how it's sore right now, but we saw that you recently challenged Mike Tyson to a boxing match for that Mayweather-McGregor undercard. Wondering, how serious were you about that challenge that you issued?
Oh, I was just fishing, see what would happen, but once I get my shoulder, I'll be 100% serious about it. I think it'd be a hell of a match between Iron Mike Tyson and myself.
Did you hear anything about it? Obviously, you were fishing. Did anybody get back to you? Did you hear about any potential of fighting Mike somewhere down the line, or did any promoters at least get in touch with you and say, "Hey, let's bring the mustache back"?
No, they must have all thought it was just a voice from the dead, poking around, haunting them, so they didn't hear anything.
Speaking of that fight card, the Mayweather-McGregor one, did you watch the boxing match, and what did you think about it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought McGregor did a hell of a job. Mayweather did a great job carrying him for 9 rounds, and McGregor did a hell of a job, thinking he was doing it. I thought it was fantastic all the way around. They both played their parts perfectly.
What would you prefer? It sounds like not too much belief in Conor McGregor's boxing from your end. Do you want to see him stick around in boxing, or do you want to see him go back to the UFC?
No, hell no. The UFC needs him, in MMA, or else Bellator needs him, Boxing, they need him, but they're not smart enough to do it properly. They throw him to the wolves right away. They try to get him fight Canelo or Triple G, and then it'd be over. So they wouldn't be smart enough to give him a couple ham and eggers.
Ham and eggers. Just before we talk about Canelo Triple G, because we want to ask you about that one as well. Who would you like to see Conor McGregor fight next? There's a few options. People are talking about this Nate Diaz trilogy. That's the front runner, but people are saying maybe Tony Ferguson, maybe Kevin Lee, maybe even Khabib Nurmagomedov. Anyone that stands out to you, Don?
Partner, I didn't get to watch the fight. I was watching my buddy Jeff at the stock car races. And everybody told me it was a hell of a fight, but boxing being boxing, the judges' scorecards were questionable. So, I think I'd like to see Diaz, I'd like to see those boys fight again to see who gets the win, on the rubber match. But, Diaz, hell, he's smart. He just don't give a shit. He's got enough money to live the rest of his life. So why is he going to screw up his health for it? The guy's the only guy with any common sense out there.
The interesting thing about the Canelo Triple G fight was, Don, that before the fight happened, Oscar De La Hoya spoke about how the Conor McGregor-Mayweather fight was horrible for the sport of boxing. But in a funny twist of events, even though you haven't watched the fight, but your buddy would have told you about the terrible decision that came out of it. Do you feel like the decision in the Canelo Triple G fight, in a lot of ways, may hurt boxing a lot more because fans are really unhappy with the way that it played out, and it's another case of boxing kind of leaving fans with a bitter taste in their mouth?
You know, who the fuck is De La Hoya talking about, you know, giving boxing the black eye? The goddamn homo was in garters and stockings and high heels, you know, his photograph like that. Who the hell is he to say anything about, you know, embarrassing anything? God damn, that guy embarrassed boxing so bad, you know, he's probably single-handedly responsible for the downfall.
Yeah, those. I'm not gonna lie. There's some racy pictures of De La Hoya. Don, I wanted to ask you something else. Moving away from the boxing world, you mentioned Takayama before about how your shoulder was hurting even before that fight, and it's kind of crazy because that's obviously one of the fights that you're most known for. You know, the insane battle that you guys had back in Pride. But unfortunately, fans and fighters were very upset to find out that Takayama had actually suffered a serious injury in a pro wrestling match, and that's seen him paralyzed from the shoulders down. You know, there's been a fund to set up to help him and his family, which we'll share at the end of the interview, but how did you find out the news and what was your reaction?
It broke my heart, man. It broke my heart and took a piece of my soul. You know, Sakuraba-san told me backstage there when, you know, I was privileged enough to induct him into the Hall of Fame, you know, UFC Hall of Fame. And he told me about it then. And it just, you know, it was pretty devastating.
It's a really sad situation. Have you had a chance to speak to him or his family since the accident?
No, partner, I have not. You know, I wouldn't know what to say. You know? So, you know, I wanted to go over there. Almost had the opportunity to go over there October 21st and corner Scott Norton in a pro wrestling match. And
really? Wow.
Yeah, I was going to take the money from that and drop it off, you know, to him. But that one got cut because, you know, my ex-wife has got these fictitious charges against me, so I can't leave the country.
Oh no, that sucks. Just curious, what was Takayama like out of the ring? Did you guys hang out much before or afterwards? Any sort of memories you can share with us?
You know, I got to meet him afterwards. You know, right afterwards. You know, you're downstairs in the locker room, and then you go to get on the bus, and you walk down the hallway in the arena downstairs, and you know it's like a mile walk, and we're walking by this room, and he pops out, and it's like, holy balls, you know, and but it's his locker room, and he says, "Oh, Don, son, I apologize for not giving you a better fight."
Wow.
Hell, you gave me a better fight, you'd have killed me.
Yeah.
You know? And then we reenacted that, you know, that fight in the movie scene, and then we did a pro wrestling match back in 2013, I think, you know? Mm-hmm. And he's just a great guy, you know, a fantastic person, you know, and a true professional in every aspect of the word.
They say that in the pro wrestling business, it's very rare to have any friends, and obviously, you know, it is a cutthroat business, kind of like in the fighting business as well. Would you say he was one of the few sort of, you know, guys that you could call a friend in this business?
Oh, yeah, you know, him and Scott Norton, Brian Johnston. You know, I was real privileged that, you know, Brad Reagan's broke me in, you know, Curt Hennig. You know, I was real privileged that I got to meet certain people, and you know, they were part of my life. And it's something, you know, like you said, it's such a cutthroat, nasty business. It's unusual, you know, for something like that to happen. Well, you're lucky just to get one of those, you know, relationships, and I got 5 or 6, so I was really, really lucky.
For sure. And a lot of the names that you mentioned are legends. Curt Hennig was a guy that a lot of people felt was, one of the best of his time, but he was also known for being a great guy behind the scenes and pulling a few ribs on people. I'm just wondering, from your time around Curt, do you have any funny stories from you guys being on the road together or being in Japan or anywhere else together?
Oh, man, we got on the airplane in L.A., Curt and Brad and I, and Curt bombed my drink, and I was out. And all the way, for a whole second day in Japan. I don't remember, I don't remember the flight. I don't remember landing. I was out. I missed the whole day, so I don't know if he bombed me that heavy or came back around and kept doing it a couple of times,
So what did he do? He spiked your drink.
Yeah, just dropped the pill in it. I got him back while we were working out in Brad's gym. I filled his wrestling boots full of cream cheese, and Brian and I were in the ring, working out. And Curt was, pulled his foot out and gave me, shook his head, gave me a dirty look. He thought he got even. He thought he put it back in my boots, but he put it in Brian's boots. So, I got him, man. Then I got Brian. But, and just being, him being innocent victim. But then I'll tell you what, Curt got me a couple of times, man. It just so embarrassing, the stuff. He was great. He was one of those people that you're just privileged to meet, to be able to call a guy an acquaintance or a friend. It's unbelievable. To spend time with that guy.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, why cream cheese? Of all the things you could put in his boots, what gave you the idea to do cream cheese, Don?
I had one of those little silver foils of cream cheese, in my gear bag left over from a flight, and so what the hell else you gonna do with it, So there was his boot, there's a package of cream cheese, there's the opportunity.
I'll tell you what, that's probably the best thing you could do with that cream cheese. That's an awesome story. Before we let you go, Don, because you're a busy guy, we wanted to get a couple of thoughts from you on the current situations and landscape of the UFC and the divisions there. And the first of which is, of course, Jon Jones and the current hot water that he's in due to failing his UFC 214 drug test. What was your take on what this can sort of done to his career?
Well, he did it to himself. Unfortunately, he did something, he got caught. And not everybody gets caught. But a lot more people do it than don't, I'm sure. And, Jon just greatest fighter, to enter the cage, but he just got a black cloud hanging over his head, man. He just never going to be free of, he got an anchor. He's treading water. He got a couple anchors on this tied to his ankle, but, it keeps dragging him down.
Do you, obviously, it seems like his team are going with the reasoning that, or the story that it might have been a tainted supplement. Do you buy into that? Or, I guess, from your perspective, do you think it's sort of as bad as it looks?
All these drug tests, they catch who they want to catch. So, that being said, there could be tainted. If they want you to be positive, you will be positive. It's just he's a hell of an athlete to make an example out of, right?
Mm.
Have you seen in your career, Don, drug tests sort of doing that to any other athletes? Them looking to fail other fighters while keeping a blind eye to others in your career? Have you seen that happen often?
Hell yeah, you see that happen all the time. See it happen in the NFL and baseball, I think the only one you don't catch is the NBA, because one of the guys said 98% of the guys that are smoking pot in the locker room, So that they can't test for that. But hell, it's pro sports. You want your athletes to be better than the average person. I mean, so far that you turn them into gods, or do you want them to look sloppy, to look like Big Country when he walks in the ring?
Yeah, I guess at least Big Country has his knockout power. Just before we get off Jones, do you think this could be the end for him? Because he spoke to his coach recently saying he doesn't know sort of if Jon would come back if he got a 4-year suspension. Do you think that might be the end for him? And what do you think this sort of, I guess, what sort of a legacy does this paint for Jon Jones if we never see him fight again?
Well, he'll be back unless he ODs or gets in a nasty car wreck or something. He's just not using the stuff before the fight. It's part of his life, part of recreational. But that's his business until he runs into somebody who's pregnant. He may not live long enough to come back in 4 years.
And before we let you go, Don, the other big news was that Ronda Rousey's coach was on the MMA Hour, and he said that he wanted to see Ronda have one more fight against Cris Cyborg. Are you surprised that he made that comment, given how Ronda's last 2 fights ended?
Who's her coach?
Edmund Tarverdian. That's Ronda Rousey's coach.
Is that idiot who tried to teach her around the box, but all she did was catch, block punches with her face? That guy's just out for the money, She needs to get rid of him and get rid of 90% of the hangers-on, and go back to Judo Jean LaBelle and her mom and people who were there at the beginning to really care and love for her. Otherwise, stay the hell out of the sport because you're just gonna get hurt.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, do you think it's wise, in your opinion, for Ronda to just stay retired and not come back, sort of risk another devastating loss, especially considering, it is Cyborg, someone heavier and a more devastating striker than she's ever faced?
She has no business being in the ring with Cyborg. That'd be like throwing the Christmas to the lion. It'd be criminal to let her in there with that gal.
All right, Don. Well, as we let you go, we see one of your latest movies is in post-production. Animal Among Us, a new horror movie that I know a lot of people are excited about, is in post-production and looking to be released soon. So as we wrap up, are there any other projects coming out you'd like your fans to keep an eye out for, this year, early next year?
Yeah, I did another one last year with Sean Stone, Oliver Stone's son, and Alex Rafe. They were the writer, co-directors, and can't remember the name of it. It's something, whatever the Stone's character's name is, and the Golden Fleece. Something in the Golden Fleece, but it's a hell of a funny movie, man. Has so many people.
Enter the Fist and the Golden Fleece?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Sean Stone plays a guy named Fist, and it's just a silly movie. And like I said, there's so many cameos. Bill Goldberg and I did a fight scene in a car wash, for about a half an hour. We did this, and I don't know how much of it's going to make the film, but man, it was fun. My back, I had the broken rods in my back, and it hurt like hell. But I was having so much fun, I couldn't stop. But boy, I was laid up for a couple of days afterwards. I'll tell you that.
Wow, there you go. Well, look, hopefully there are more fun times like that. You and Bill Goldberg, or you in any other movies. Enter the Fist and the Golden Fleece. That's the movie that Don's talking about. There's also a whole bunch of other ones. Chuck Hank and the San Diego Twins, Animal Among Us.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, and there's also Glacial Tongue. That's the war movie as well. That's still coming out. That's coming out next year. So there's a lot of fun things to check out with Don Frye. And, of course, follow him on Twitter at DonFryFighter. And don't forget to donate for Yoshihiro Takayama by going to all-japan.co.jp/Takayama_info. I wish they made the website a little bit easier, but obviously you can go there, donate to him, his cause, and his family. He's a man that really needs it. And as always, Don, we really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. Always a lot of fun, and thank you so much for talking with us today.
Yeah, guys, send Takayama some money, because God bless him, he's a hell of a guy. He really is. And just get dealt a bad hand. So help the man out, please. Thank you, guys. Take care.